Okay, again, everyone, hello. Today is Wednesday, and I'm so happy, to be here. But I am live on many different platforms, and as you all know, I definitely work in the medical space. And let's go ahead and get started. So today we are talking about surprise billing. So, what in God's name is that? What are we talking about? So, if you guys have listened to some of my segments, beforehand, you will all know that I am very passionate about healthcare. I want to make sure that healthcare is available to each and every one of you. I think that healthcare is a right. I think that everyone should have it. Now, whether that actually happens or not, of course, that can be debated. But as I continue to make sure that we are all on the same page, I like to inform others exactly what do I mean about certain things. So as you see me talking on day in and day out, please go ahead, ask any questions. You can email me at admin@atlantath.com. You can even come here in, right now I'm also on the Wisdom app, and do the same thing as well and ask me any type of question. And I can go ahead and bring you guys up. And that's super awesome. So let's go ahead. Let's start talking about what the topic is today. And today it is surprise billing. So what is that? Because there's really nothing that we'd like to, say surprise about. But let me give you an example. So I go into a medical facility and let's say my foot hurts. I'm going into podiatry. I have Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I have a PPO plan, which means that it, basically pretty top of the tier, right? Pretty some cool things going on there. And I go in and I give them all of my information. And then what happens? What happens is they see me and then I come out of the office. I'm ready to go. I have a boot, maybe a durable medical equipment. I broke my foot, whatever, what have you. And then I'm home for 30 days. I have my next appointment. And then right before my next appointment, I get a bill of like $2,500. That is surprise billing. That is not okay. So let me explain why this is not okay. It is not okay because when a patient comes into your office, let's make a deal here, right? A lot of different physicians feel as though, okay, the patient came into my office. I have nothing to do with their insurance or anything, what have you. Okay, fine, you don't. But see, here's the problem, you take it. So since you take it, that means that sometimes you might have to inform, right, your person or your patient of exactly, what is happening, right? What is going to take place. So surprise billing is when you don't say anything to your patient, you have them come right on in, they get the service, and then you expect them to pay top dollar or something completely out of control, because they had no acknowledgement of it. Now that to me is wrong, and that happens all of the time. The reason why it's wrong is a couple reasons. Nobody likes to get a bill in the mail that is a surprise bill. Even when we are, we have our, I don't know, electric bill or gas bill or even our rent. What if there was surprise, here's an extra $2,500. You didn't realize that, everything, used electricity and now you have all this stuff. That's not fair either, right? So this is for anyone. This is for every type of business that you have, but especially for medical practices, this happens all the time. It also even happens in hospitals. Why does this happen? So let's go from a patient perspective. Why does this happen? Well, this happens for a number of reasons. One is a lot of time the front desk or the administrative staff in the front really doesn't really even know, what your insurance is. They have no idea what your insurance is. And let's see. Sorry, they have no idea what your insurance is. And because they don't know what your insurance is, they're unable to, basically also explain it as well to you. And that's a problem. There's no reason why, that should happen at any time in your life, right? And for that, that's just irresponsible. And it's irresponsible for any medical facility and any medical practice. I understand that you, right, are not the person that actually gave these people their medical, I would say, information. But I do want to let you know that since you take it, you have to give them that information. So let's go further. So I come in, again, same kind of thing. I deal with, it's my podiatrist or whatever, and I don't know how much I need to pay still, right? So what should happen when I enter? What should happen is this. Hello, Courtney, how are you doing? May I have your insurance card? As the insurance card is going on and everything is happening, they should be going through your eligibility. And what that means is actually pulling up your insurance to see, one, have you met something that's called a deductible? So let's go into all of this, guys, because it's very important. A deductible is something that you need to pay as a patient for your insurance to basically be active. And what that means is that, let's say I have a $10,000 deductible. That means that I have to pay, $10,000 until my insurance is actually activated. That's exactly what that means. Period, point blank, nothing else is going to happen, right? Now, what the issue is that your doctor's office should be able to explain that. I don't think it's fair that your doctor's office does not take that type of time, to be able to let everyone know this. I think it's irresponsible, and I feel as though that's something that definitely, should continue to happen. That should be a doctor's office responsibility. I don't care what anybody says. The other thing is that no person should get a surprise bill, right? And there's a reason for that, right? So if I am a revenue cycle person and I am looking at different people's bills, and let's say that they did not meet their deductible, if they didn't meet their deductible, then that revenue cycle management team should be calling that person personally and telling them exactly what is happening. So it's not a surprise. Because I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. When things are surprises to people, especially in the medical field, guess what? They're not coming back to you. They're not coming back. They're going to leave you with that bill. I don't care what type of financial pretend thing that you're going to give them or payment plan. They're not doing it, right? Because you did not tell them how everything works. And honestly, I don't agree with it. I feel like, yes, I did get the service, so I should pay for it. But we're in the real world, right? So people don't like surprises. That's not how it works. That's not how, things just happen. It doesn't work like that. So because of that, let's stop the surprise billing. No one should open any type of insurance billing and not know at least something that's about to happen. And I feel like this, if any person, especially, it does depend on what type of practice, right? So let's say if we're a pain practice and we're doing some type of, just really complicated, spinal tap or some type of injury, and we have a disc that's out of line and we want to make sure we're putting a cortisone shot. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that, that bill might be $1,000 on up, right? But let's say I'm just going to the pediatrician with my son and I don't realize that I haven't met my deductible, and then I have $1,000 bill. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a problem. You've got to sit down with your patients and truly explain to them what are the benefits of coming here, right, to your practice. What is going to happen when they get the service that they're asking for? And then what are they going to be responsible for? So I'm going to tell you right now, When people are signing certain things and there's a whole little credit card and you're responsible for this and that, ladies and gentlemen, that is not enough. Someone needs to contact these people, your patients, the people that are paying you, to let them know how much it's going to be. Okay, period. I don't care if it's extra for you to do. I don't care if it's extra for the people in the front to do. That should be a part of their job. And also, if administrators don't understand how to explain insurance, then guess what? That is when your revenue cycle management team should also be able to do so. Okay, so there's no excuses here. No one wants a surprise bill. And I know I sound super passionate about this, and that's because when my son had, liver disease and we were going to all of these different places, for care, I was getting like $20,000 bills, $50,000 bills, and I had great insurance. Okay, but I had to figure it out. And that's not a good feeling. And I do want to tell all of you, one of the number one causes, right, of bankruptcy is due to medical bills, y'all. So how are we as medical providers or people that own medical practices, how are we helping, right, that movement? How are we helping and making sure that that's not continuing? We can make sure that that continues, right, by telling people what is going to happen if you see us for our services, right? Because then honestly, if you don't tell people, you're not telling them the truth, right? You know that they have a $10,000 deductible and you're just going to see them anyway and not really even care. But then you're going to expect them to pay, basically the $1,500 or the $2,000 bill immediately. That's not going to happen. Let's all be in the real world. And that is one reason why I love to talk about medical startups. I love to talk about just medical practices, period, because there's a lot of things that are happening that should not. They should not be happening because this is not that difficult. It is called communication, right? So when you communicate with your client that they have cancer, if you communicate with your client that their foot is broken, you can communicate with your client or have your staff communicate and say, hey, this is not covered, or this is covered, or this is covered 50%. This is your job as the healthcare professional and medical practice to explain to everyone how does their insurance work, because employers are not. Let's even go to government insurance. Let's go to Medicare, Medicaid. Let's even go to the VA. Same difference. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if a VA client comes to you and you guys do not have a prior authorization, you're not getting paid, period. Okay? Your front staff needs to understand also how insurance works. If they don't know how insurance works, guess what? You're going to get a surprise because it's going to be denied. And also, per VA contracts, you cannot bill the patient. So guess what? The number is 0. You're not getting anything for seeing those people when all we had to do was slow it on down. Let's not be, too greedy and too extra, right? And let's make sure that we have everything that we need, right, in order to bill efficiently. That's all it means, right? Same thing for Medicare and Medicaid. Guys, it's against the law to bill the client. I don't know if everybody knows this, but I mean, when you look at, let's say, Medicaid, and you pull it up, right, and it is the admin staff, and you see that it says like family planning for especially a woman or a female, that means, just basically birthing and things like with a baby. That doesn't mean that she can receive all of these, different types of care. Does that make sense? It's specific. So when you look at even someone's insurance for Medicare, Medicaid, and even a VA for the veterans, it tells you what they can receive. And that's another huge, huge issue that a lot of practices make. They see someone, they grab their insurance, the front or the back or whoever is supposed to do something. They are not looking at what should be happening. They're not checking the eligibility of the bill. And then guess what? You are receiving zero because you cannot bill you cannot bill them. They are disadvantaged people. They are people that are protected by the government. They are protected. You cannot get any money from them, from their cash. Why? Because the government said they are unable to do so. Okay? So again, let's make sure that we all seriously understand, how does this work? Surprise billing is terrible for your practice. And it will also create several things and several snowballs. So let's give you one example. I receive a bill in the mail. It's $2,500 that I owe you. And then you're going to tell me, hey, I can't even come back. So let's say that I have a controlled substance or something that I can't stop immediately. Honestly, also by law, you guys have to titrate them, right? So that means by making sure that the drug or whatever you've given them, right? Because you didn't do your due diligence, you have to make sure that they are able to get off, right, of it, so that, and it's safe. Because some medications you just can't get off immediately. That's not okay. So as a healthcare provider, even if you're not getting paid or that person is not able to pay the $2,500 that they owe you, guess what? You're going to have to eat that cost, and you need to make sure that you titrate those patients. That can definitely go into a whole other lawsuit. People can go back to the, emergency room. That is just not a good combination. I just, prefer definitely not to do that. There should be no surprise billing. Yes, of course, sometimes in the office, people will say, oh my gosh, this lady knew or whatever. Obviously they don't, guys. They don't know. So if your clients are not educated on insurance, if they're not educated on percentages of what insurance is going to pay, if they're not, understanding that if they go to a specialist, that this insurance only pays 50% of the specialty. And some insurances, they don't even cover mental health services, right? So if you're a behavioral health specialist or healthcare provider, you guys need to know all of this. And to me, this is the responsibility of the practice. And that's why, for me, my team is amazing. And my team, this is what we do. This is what we make sure that all of our practices are following, that they are following all of the necessary steps that are needed to not only educate themselves, but to also educate, right, their patients. And this is a reason, surprise billing is one of the number one reasons why a lot of people don't come back. They open it up and they're like, what is this and why? Then they call your office. This is when you all hear that somebody cussed out somebody in the office. And that is why, because it was a surprise. Call Mrs. Walker and say, hello, hey, you have a $10,000 deductible. We are willing to work with you. This is what we are willing to take. This is how we can pay and break it down monthly. This is what your insurance is. Were you aware? And how can we solve their problem? There's a lot of people that are also elderly or, disabled or whatever, what have you, and they don't understand their insurance. So who's going to tell them? Because the insurance company, yes, okay, fine. You're probably going to say, Courtney, insurance and, Blue Cross and Blue Shield should be able to tell them. Well, they're not. And if Blue Cross and Blue Shield is listening to the Wisdom app or like LinkedIn, well, I'm going to need you to let all of your people know about their insurance and give literature that is just not, too out of control. How about that? But they're not going to do that. They're $1 billion company. So it takes us, and in order for us to be better, right, as people that are in the healthcare field, and also for patients to have a better chance, right, of getting the services that they need at an affordable price, right, it is going to have to take for you as the medical professional or the billing professional to let them know what are they paying for? If they're paying, what are they getting for their insurance? And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, your insurance is not giving you anything. So if you find that out, you might have to try to find another insurance. And that is very important. I did put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I have no idea why I keep getting phone calls, but I apologize, guys. So again, what I was stating was that surprise billing is just not okay. It can definitely be changed. This is not something that should be always happening to everyone. That it's inexcusable. It doesn't have to happen. This means that what has to happen is you need to take control of your private practice. People come back to people who do good work in the community, healthcare or not, right? You're not going to go to the terrible Walmart that's down the street acting crazy, right? You're going to Target, or you're going to go to, I don't know, the Family Dollar. It's the same thing with healthcare. And I think that we have all, kind of forgotten that it is about the patient. It is about healing. It is not, I made it to be a doctor and I'm a nurse practitioner and I am this. No, it is about your patient receiving their care. And it is about the gifts that you have, that you learned in school, and your passion to help people. That's what it's about. That is what it's about. So when people are acting crazy and calling your office and you're saying that, Miss Johnson just cussed me out because she didn't realize she had a $50 bill, guess what? That's your fault. You don't send bills to people and they have no idea what's happening. And if you do send a bill to people, I encourage all of you, you can send a bill out. That's not what I'm saying, right? But the biggest thing that I'd like all of you to do is also put something else in the bill and say, hey, if you're having trouble paying this bill, please call our office. We are here to help you. We want you to keep coming back. You are valued. You are someone that we want at our practice. We enjoyed meeting you today. That is what needs to happen when someone gets a surprise bill, because a surprise bill is not a surprise party. It is terrible. And I will tell you from experience, getting these very, very large bills in the mail, and then, then you're starting to get collections because of this ridiculous bill that you didn't even know existed, and or you didn't know that if you went there just because you were, I don't know, you sprained your ankle, that now you're going to be walking out with like this $2,500 bill or something even worse, right? So again, let's make sure that as medical providers and as people who actually own private practices and revenue cycle management people, teams who see these astronomical bills, you guys need to start making, a telephone call. That is not cool for 65-year-old Mrs. Johnson to go ahead and get a bill for $2,500 when she's on Social Security and makes only $750 a month. Okay, let's make sense of this, right? You also, again, let's recap. You need to make sure that you understand, what does your medical practice take? Do you take Medicare? Do you take Medicaid? Do you take these? Because if you don't, then you shouldn't see these people, right? Because then it's false advertising. So let me explain this again. If you are not credentialed to take, I'm just giving you these examples, Medicare, Medicaid, or like a VA or a veteran, and you take them and you give them treatment, guess what? That's on you. It's not on them as the patient. Why? Because you took them and you said, oh, yeah, we can fix them. But here's the thing. When you have insurance, that insurance company is represented by the patient or the patient that's coming in. So that person is walking in with Medicare on their shoulder, right? Or walking in with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. If you're not credentialed, then guess what? They told you, hey, I don't know you, and don't send a bill to me, and don't send a bill to my person either, because I didn't even know that you were serving them, right? So again, surprise billing can be completely stopped. And I'm very passionate about everything that I say, especially on this app and any other place, because I have been there. I have been there when I've received ridiculous bills. And you know what? Sometimes they're even wrong. So that's another thing. If a patient calls, right, and they say, hey, I see this bill, but I really only came for, I don't know, a COVID test. I didn't have the broken leg. People need to look at what the patient is saying, then look at the doctor's notes. And you know what? Sometimes we do make billing mistakes. And guess what? Adjust it. Adjust it off so that this person can go on their way and feel a lot better. There's another point that I love to make, right? So let's say Miss Johnson is amazing. She has the $2,500. She goes and pays it. Well, you do know what you're supposed to do, correct? You're supposed to let the insurance know that Miss Johnson paid $2,500, because if the lady has a $5,000 deductible or a $10,000 deductible, then that means that insurance knows, hey, she's almost paid off her deductible. So we are going to have to kick in soon. So every time you even take a payment from a patient and they have insurance, you need to let that insurance company know. Also, at the end of the year or whatever your fiscal year, and a lot of practices don't like to hear this, if an insurance company pays you, let's say 100%, but you took $2,000 from that patient, you don't get to keep it. You have to send that money back to that patient, because that's an overpayment, right? That's an overpayment. So sometimes you're going to be cutting checks, right, to actual patients. And I want everyone to understand this. This is serious business. Billing is not easy. Billing is very difficult, but you should still never have surprise billing. And if you have surprise billing, you have a workflow issue. You have a systems issue, and you have an issue within your whole private practice. Why? Because you are one. Stop the whole thing about, oh, well, she works in the front. All she does is take insurance. Oh, he goes and he processes the claim. So that's the billing department. Oh, this is the healthcare provider. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work like that. That's not what insurance sees, and that's not what the patient sees. The patient sees you as one. They see you as a private practice. They see you as a hospital. Nobody cares who touched the bill all the way through. That's not their concern, right? Your concern needs to be, how are you billing your patient, and why is this a surprise? Nothing should be a surprise. If you're having surprises and your patients are calling you and complaining because this is a surprise, all I'm going to tell you is everyone needs to call Atlanta Telehealth. So atlantath.com, because you have a problem and you're going to have client retention issues. And you might even have some issues also with your staff staying as well. So it's a whole thing. Surprise billing is a whole thing. None of this is fun. Okay. But the biggest thing is that I always like to, explain to people what is definitely happening. So I'm going to also answer some questions. Okay, so Dr. Michelle, I believe. Hello. What she's asking is, how does the individual not know what their deductible is beforehand? So I totally understand that. I totally get it. A lot of people don't. A lot of people literally just sign away, especially if they're, at their job or whatever. I will tell you also that young people, like when I first got my first insurance, I had no idea like even what that was. So I'll just be honest. So a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know because they're not reading the whole big old pamphlet that they're given. And trust me, I totally understand. I know that it's not fun and it kind of stinks, but unfortunately, we have to inform them, because if we don't, then they're not coming back to us, and they're just going to keep going and hopping and hopping and hopping to different places. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And I know it's not fun. I know it's not ideal, but no, a lot of people do not know their deductibles. And I'll be honest, I did not know my deductible until my son got sick and I had to really start using my insurance. Most people don't know it until something catastrophic has happened to them for them to even realize what's going on. So I'll just give you that. And my team, we work in small hospital systems. We work in ambulatory centers. We work in private practice behavioral health. We work in, oh my gosh, all different types, just even pain practices, whatever. Guess what? They don't know their insurance. They just come, they give it to you, and they have no idea. And especially senior citizens or people that have never had a catastrophic event happen, again, they have no idea what their insurance is. They just know that they look at it. So she said, it's that I understand that the medical service has a responsibility. I totally get it, Dr. Michelle. But a person shouldn't be in the dark completely. Honestly, in my opinion, no, they shouldn't be in the dark, but unfortunately they are. So are you going to help them, or are you going to still just continue to fight with them back and forth? Right? Like what's the point, right? Why don't you be the change? And I'm not saying that's just to you, Dr. Michelle. I'm just saying this to everybody who's listening. Someone's got to be the change, because they're just going to go all over the place, or they're just going to go to the hospital and they're going to run up the bill, and then guess what? You're going to be paying for it anyway in taxes. So it's either or. That's just how it is. Mr. Ledbetter, hi, Mr. Ledbetter. He said, I've started getting billing codes before I began a procedure to see how much I will be responsible for. This has saved me money. So yes, but also don't forget, Tony, you are a clinician, and so you know better. So you know that there's specific codes that, and you know that there's actual codes that coincide, right, with how much, something is, right? So that's the biggest thing. So when you know better, right, you do better. So I will definitely, say that, Mr. Led, that's perfect. So Catherine is a part of my team. So she stated this, especially the elderly, they aren't always aware of their out-of-pocket expenses. It definitely is a courtesy to the patients to make them aware, and they will be more likely to become a returning patient. So yes, I mean, the whole point, right, of you having your private practice is for them to return. So trust me, I totally get it. It's tough. It's tough for us, right? Because not only do we have a private practice, now we have to tell somebody what they're paying for and what their insurance is, and all of this craziness. And I totally get it, right? But it's hard you have to take responsibility. Same thing about like defensive driving. Let's just go on with that. So I'm driving down the street. You guys, I live in Atlanta. It's crazy. Okay. People are going like 80 miles an hour down a 20-mile-an-hour street. Okay. I'm driving a whole big Magic School bus. It is an Escalade. And I have to make sure that I'm looking right to left, right? I know that the light is green, but you still have to make sure that nobody's running a red light on the other side. It's the same thing, right? I don't want to have to be responsible for other people, but unfortunately, as healthcare providers, we have to be. And that is, the whole problem. And we just have to take it. If you cannot do that, then maybe you should outsource some of your billing and have them, help you with that. Maybe that should be something that, you can assist more with. But I'm telling you right now, anyone who's getting surprise billing, probably they're going to another place that does go the extra mile, because I do know that there are other places that go the extra mile because they're clients of ours. And their return rate is much higher than people who are just sending out bills and complaining, right? So as we say, just even in, healthcare or whatever, what have you, right? What are we doing? Are we going to be the problem, or are we going to be the solution? And yes, sometimes we all don't raise our hand to be the solution. I totally understand. But guess what? We're going to have to be. Right? We have to be the solution. We are a part of the community, and that is what it is. I'll give you another example. Maybe this will help even more. Yesterday, I got an email that a child at my son's preschool, horribly sick because someone brought in like some peanuts or something, right? Peanuts and tree nuts. The child is completely allergic, right? Well, it takes a village to do that. There's, I don't know, 100 kids, in that come in and out. But it's maybe that one child that has that peanut allergy. It's the same thing for surprise billing. Does that make sense? It's still your responsibility to not bring the peanut butter into the school, right? So my kid doesn't have the peanut butter allergy, but guess what? That other kid does. So I'm doing something for them. So I think we also, as healthcare providers and people that own our own practice, we have to think about that. Who are we serving? I know we're serving ourselves because, yes, we are getting paid or whatever, what have you, but also you have to serve your client, and you have to, like we always say, especially in behavioral health, you have to meet them, right? Meet where the client is. So if the client doesn't know their insurance, then guess what? It's going to be your responsibility. And you have to be able to explain it to them, right? Because that's where they are. And especially if they're in behavioral health, they might not have any idea. Someone who is, depressed, has postpartum depression, they are just coming for help. Sorry about this. I still don't know why this phone is going crazy, but they're just asking for help. Nobody's looking at their insurance. All they know is that they have an insurance card. They called you. And so let's start with, how do we stop this from happening? Maybe that will help. So when someone calls you and they have insurance, what needs to happen, point blank in the period, is you need to check their eligibility. So a lot of times in different electronic health records, eligibility is checked by this button, and it says, oh my gosh, they're eligible for services. That's not really what it's checking. What it's checking is, do they have insurance? It's not checking, does what you're doing have coverage on their insurance. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is, I have insurance. That's it. That's all it's saying. It's not saying anything else, right? What you have to do is you have to go deeper. You have to go deeper. So when you take someone's insurance, what you can do, and this is what we have people do in a lot of our practices. Hello, Miss Johnson calls. She's looking for a new provider. Hello, Miss Johnson. Yes, we do. We take your insurance. What are we going to do? Miss Johnson, we're going to call you in 24 to 48 hours, and we're going to let you know what happens, with your insurance. It should even be quicker than that. You can either go through the portal if you are credentialed, You can go through Availity and you can look that up, and you should be able to look up and see, have they met their deductible? Are your services covered? And then what is the possible out-of-pocket expense as they come into your clinic? That's what should be happening, period. If that's not happening, that's why you're having all of these issues. And this is the stuff that, Atlanta Telehealth, a lot of times in my consulting practice, that's what we have to deal with. We have to deal with getting things on the back end. So all I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a healthcare provider and your AR, meaning your accounts receivable, is behind, and a lot of it is patient payments, it's because they're getting surprise bills. It's because they're not getting a payment plan. It's because you're not stopping and just really thinking and telling them what is really responsible. What are they responsible for, right? You have to tell them what they're responsible for. It's just like getting a ticket, right? I get pulled over. You ask the police officer, why am I stopped? You're stopped because you were speeding, right? Not, I got a surprise bill. Let me open the bill and, I owe you $2,500. You think I'm not going to call you and ask about that? I think you should call the patient and talk to them about it. And guess what? This is another thing that we find a lot. A lot of times healthcare providers will see this patient over and over and over and over and over again, and they have never gotten paid by this patient. If you haven't gotten paid by them, then you can no longer see them. If their deductible is so out here, right, that they can't pay for your services, they're not going to pay. So you can't see them. You have to refer them to someone else who can see them, or put them on a payment plan and hold them to that payment plan. Why are you seeing people for free, right? That I can see that happening once or twice, but sometimes we go into, different places and people have been seen like 7 or 10 times. Y'all, that is out of control. So I can tell you exactly why your business is failing. Your business is failing because you're not even getting payment. You're not even getting payment from people. And then you're upset about it. You can't be upset. You have to do something about it. So that means that, again, you are one. You are one with the revenue cycle management team. You are one with the front desk and front office. That front office, guess what? They don't like doing it. I would prefer if people call on every patient that comes in. I know you guys are like, oh my gosh, that's impossible. It's not. It's not impossible. If you are able to make it work and you put it in as a teamwork, I would call. You know why? If you call and they say, oh, Miss Johnson's made her deductible and she only needs to pay $50, and you get a reference number, and then all of a sudden she owes all this money and you go after her and all this other mess, you can actually contact the insurance company with that reference number and fight for that claim. I bet you didn't know that. So if you know that and you go the extra mile, insurance companies don't want to pay you. They want it for free for their people. That's how it works, right? They're saving money, right? So the way that you get them on their game is you call them. You get a reference number. And you can fight that. And I'll tell you what happened. This actually happened with an insurance company, and it was not government. It was private insurance. And they did tell me that they met their deductible. I wrote it down. I put the note in the chart. This was a while ago. And then the claim denied. I called that insurance company back. I gave them the same reference number. And I even gave them that type of the information on the claim, everything. And guess what? They paid that claim, but they said any future they will not pay. And you know why? Because they made a mistake on the line. So again, stop using things that are automated. It doesn't always work. Please understand what the difference means between eligibility check. Please understand what it means of verifying the services, right? Your insurance. You're not just verifying they have insurance. Can you take their insurance? Is what you're doing going to be able to be reimbursed. And if it's not, then guess what? You don't take the patient and you do not send them a surprise bill. That's not cool. I don't suggest it. So it's 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. And as I said to most of you, I will be here every day from not every day, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 3:45. I usually take questions from 3:30 to 3:45 Eastern time. And the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure that people are getting everything that they need, not only just from a patient standpoint, but also from a business owner standpoint. I also do own my own medical practice, so I do understand what I'm saying and what I'm talking about it, because I live, I walk it, and I build them for other people. And we want to be successful, and we want you to be successful as well. So again, I will say goodbye, and I'll probably do this the same way as I did today. And I'm streaming on all different types of platforms. And again, I will see you tomorrow, and everyone have a good day, and no more surprise billing, everybody. All right, bye.